Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. My name is Taylor and today is a very exciting day because we finally get a new Mac Mini and new MacBook Pros, specifically on the M2 platform. So I'm gonna check out the MacBook Pros first, the 14 and the 16. We're gonna go through those specs and see kind of how you can configure them. And then I'm gonna check out the M2 Mac Mini because there's some really exciting stuff there and even a surprise that I was like, whoa, I can't believe they did this. And then I kind of have a question as to why they made this kind of design decision for the Mac Mini. So if all that sounds good, let's go ahead and jump into it and check these new systems out. As a disclaimer, this video is not sponsored. All right, so first up we have the new MacBook Pro. And this of course is gonna have the M2 Pro and the M2 Max, which we all knew, we just kind of didn't know what the specs were gonna be. But it's a 12-core CPU, 8 performance, 4 efficiency cores, and it will have a 19 or a 30-core GPU, but it can be configured all the way up to a 38-core GPU, which is insane. There is a bin-down version for the base model, which has a 10-core CPU with 6 performance and 4 efficiency cores, so you get 2 less cores there. And then of course you get a slower graphics card, but that starts at $19.99, whereas the big one is $30.99, and this is specifically for the 14-inch. So other than that, there are some pretty good upgrades here. It can now be configured up to 96 gigs of RAM. That is the max configuration, which is absolutely insane. That's what you get with the M2 Max chip with the 38-core GPU. We have 8 terabytes of storage now. I'm pretty sure the old one, you could only configure it up to 4 terabytes. So I'm pretty sure 8 is like double that, which is pretty cool. We also have a new addition to HDMI. We now have HDMI 2.1 support on the MacBook Pros, which people have been asking for a long time. So you get high refresh rate 4K and support for 8K. Everything else is pretty much the same MagSafe, same 3.5mm headphone jack, same card slot. And here's where we can see those specs for that new HDMI 2.1 spec, which is 8K resolution up to 60 Hertz or 4K at 240 Hertz all over HDMI, which is a very nice addition to see. And then we also get an updated Wi-Fi network card. We're now getting Wi-Fi 6E, so 802.11ax with the Bluetooth 5.3 support. And that's a pretty big deal because the Wi-Fi standard is increasing, which means Wi-Fi speeds are getting faster. It'll be able to hit near that 1 gigabit per second speed with this, so that's a really nice addition. And then pretty much everything is still the same chassis, same screen. So there's no problem there. Those are great screens and I love the design of the new MacBook Pro. So here is the 16-inch. You can see it starts at $24.99 and then it goes up to $34.99. So let's kind of go ahead into the build configurator and kind of see here. So on the 14-inch, the low end, the 10-core CPU, 16-core GPU. The high-end 14-inch is 12-core and 30. That is if you were just to spec it right here, and you can get that as early as Tuesday, January 24th, which is pretty cool. But we're gonna go ahead in here and we're going to select the beefy GPU. We're gonna do the 96 gigs of RAM. We're gonna do the 8 terabytes of storage and pretty much nothing else. And that brings us to $62.99. Woo! For a 14-inch MacBook Pro, that is pretty spicy. And it looks like you can get this as early as Friday, February 3rd. Now, if I was to spec this, I would go 1 terabyte of storage and I would do 32 gigs of RAM and I would get that 38-core GPU. And this would be my spec, which is $32.99, and it looks like that is also custom at Friday, February 3rd. So let's go ahead and look at the 16-inch now. All right, so the 16-inch starts at the 12-core CPU, 19-core GPU with 16 gigs and a 512 gigabyte SSD, which is $24.99. And the top spec is the 12-core CPU, 38-core GPU, and 32 gigs of unified memory. So this would be the exact identical to the same spec that I got when I got my M1. So selecting this, you can see that it's still that $34.99. So if we go ahead and we spec this thing out to 96 gigs, 8 terabytes, 96 gigs, that is absolutely insane. So now this is $6,499. Pretty expensive. It's not much more expensive, surprisingly, than the 14-inch. So if we go back and we respec this, Yeah, so you're paying $200 more for a bigger screen. I'd do that. Bigger screen's worth it in my opinion. And there's also better battery life. The 16-inch now has 22 hours of battery life. The 14-inch has 18. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the 14 and 16-inch. Now let's check out the Mac Mini. All right, here's the Mac Mini, and it gets the Apple M2 chip, which no surprise there. We were expecting that with the 8-core CPU and the 10-core GPU. And then down below, there's also, it now has Wi-Fi 6E as well. So it is getting that upgraded network card with Bluetooth 5.3, but there's also another configuration here that we see on the far right here, which is the M2 Pro. They put an M2 Pro in the Mac Mini with the 10-core CPU and the 16-core GPU. That's how you can get it right now. But if we were to order this right now, we can select this. It starts at $12.99 for the M2 Pro. So we're gonna select this and we're just gonna max this thing out. So we're gonna get the full 19-core GPU, 32 gigs of RAM, because this is the Pro, it's not a Max, and then 8 terabytes. Yeah, why not? 10 gigabit Ethernet. That is gonna set you back $44.99. which is a pretty expensive Mac Mini. If I was to spec this out, I would do 1 terabyte, I would do 32 gigs, I would have the fastest CPU, and that puts you at $22.99, which is pretty expensive. Now, I'm wondering, why did Apple not put the M2 Max in this? I mean, it probably has plenty of cooling to support the M2 Max, so it was kind of a weird decision why they didn't put the M2 Max in this. It's a little strange, but it looks like you can get this configuration February 22nd. Let's see what it would be like. Okay, so yeah, the earliest you can get this is January 24th. So it looks like you can get all this new hardware as early as Tuesday if you order from the pre-configured specs that Apple has here. There is no M2 Max on the Mac Mini, which is a disappointment, but I mean, everything else looks like a solid upgrade. Like, I don't think it's worth upgrading from the M1. If you have an M1, you probably should hang on to it. But if you don't have an M1, if you have an Intel-based MacBook Pro, then now is a great time to dive on into that Apple Silicon MacBook Pros or Mac Mini. All right, guys, well, that's it. I just wanted to give this quick update on the new announcements and the new Macs. It's super exciting. Are you excited? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you planning on getting one of these machines? Are you planning on upgrading? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.